Mark's touched on a few things that I was going to say. You know, XFELs are increasingly being realized as revolutionary tools combining unique properties. We're going to hear a lot about that today in the science discussions, and then a bit later on in the technical discussions. We've had several attempts at getting a UK FEL. Some of you may be having shivers looking at those images. But you know, the 4GLS and then the NLS, you know, in 2010, and that we haven't managed to take forward. But we have been a member of the European XFEL in Hamburg, and over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, our use of that has grown significantly. In fact, the bill for us has grown significantly as well, from 2% to about 7% now over a relatively short period of time. In 2016, there was a strategic review of FELs in the UK conducted by STFC, and it noted a few things. It made recommendations about trying to grow noted the science, noted the importance. It commented on the relatively small community and recommended that we took steps to try to grow that community. And I think the access to the European XFEL there shows that that's been successful. But it also suggested that the right moment that the UK consider developing plans for its own X-ray free electron laser. And as Mark has alluded to, it's followed a process, and it's a process that to be fair, Mark put in place, broadly following the US CD process, with initially a science case. We did that over the period of 2019, 2020. John Morangus led that with a core science team of about 25 people. And we've now entered this conceptual design and options analysis phase. The original bar here had times on it, had dates, but that's a hostage to fortune, and we're already late, so I've taken those off. But this conceptual design period will last for approximately 3 years, where we will flesh out concepts and so forth. And as Mark has said, the next stage is then the technical design, but that is a significant increase in funding required for that, and so that would be a major decision. And the construction of this, probably a decade in duration, so it's hard. It's been supported by the UKRI Infrastructure Fund through this preliminary process that Mark mentioned, but it is really a discussion about what science infrastructure we need. 30s, 40s, I've gone into the 50s as well, and it's actually hard to predict. It's hard to think what would we be doing in 10 years' time that would justify the levels of investment that would be needed. And so I think the days like today, where we can have that dialogue, we can have that interaction between the scientific, the technical folk as part of this process, are crucial in formulating those arguments. In terms of the conceptual design and options analysis project, there are 5 aspects. The first is to update the science case, which has been community-led, and we've just embarked on that process. That'll take probably another 12, 15 months. That's important to make sure that even by the end of this, that case is current. Things do evolve quite quickly. The second is the development of a concept design for a unique machine, not a duplicate machine. There's no point in building something that's a copy of something that already exists. So we want to have capabilities, properties, functionality that don't currently exist, that could be based in the UK. The third is to look at what potential options exist for an internationalized approach to that. Are there other partners that would be interested in being part of such a machine that could be based in the UK, or indeed it could be based elsewhere? There are many countries in the world that don't have access to FELs, but the number of FELs internationally is growing. You can see in my diagram at the top right-hand side there. The fourth option, or the fourth aspect, is to look at the future development plans of the existing XFELs, the European XFEL, maybe the LCLS in California, about whether a co-investment approach could work. it's an expensive undertaking of FEL, and it's quite possible that it is unaffordable by the UK, but maybe other options for investing in existing infrastructure, if those development plans align with the science case that's been developed, that very much could be another way forward. And then finally is to look at things like the cost. How much would one of these things cost? What are the economics of doing such a thing? So those are the 5 primary areas of activity. I mentioned one of the things that came out of the 2016 review was about community growth. So I just want to mention the 2 XFEL hubs that operate, because they have been instrumental in supporting the community. We have one for the physical sciences that is operated by the CLF, mainly funding studentships, mainly supporting people going to FELs with, simple things like travel and subsistence and sample preparation, targetry if you're on the high power side. And in the life sciences, there's a hub that's been going for a bit longer on Diamond, which is a bit more focused on R&D for life sciences on FELs, and with a group of people that actually will physically go with you to different FELs in the world to assist in doing experiments. So different approaches. We'll hear a bit more about these from James and from Alan as the talks go on today. And then my final slide, I just want to take the opportunity to thank a few people, because whilst I've got this podium, I want to thank John in particular, and the science team, and now the enlarged science team, that have given up their time and effort to write the original science case and are going to be contributing now to the refreshed version. I want to thank Jim Clark, who's the director of the Aztec facility in the Daresbury laboratory, that are leading on all of the technical work that is going on. He's got a large team of people working there. I want to say thanks to Paul Aiden, who's our project manager, for keeping us honest, which is important. The people that organize behind the scenes, Kerry, Erica, Tracy and Andy, who did the brochure, which you will see for all of the logistical arrangements. I'd like to thank our speakers, our IAC, International Advisory Committee members, for agreeing to help us, Massimo for agreeing to be the chair of that committee. You for coming, for your interest, both in person and online, the Royal Society for hosting, and finally, the funders, UKRI, the Infrastructure Fund. Been a great thing, the Infrastructure Fund. We've benefited a lot in my department, and I know in other facilities. So thank you to that. So I'm going to stop there and move on to some more interesting stuff.